Hello, Nitroners, and welcome back to another episode of VFX with Natron. So, today we're going to be looking at doing a glitch effect. Or glitch title sequence. There was a user who, I'll forget what her name was off the top of my head, but there was a user who was on the Facebook forums who was looking to do a glitch effect and how to animate it over time. And so, I was like, oh, you do this and do that and do this, and then after a while it became a little apparent that this might be something other people are having issues with and have wanted to do. So I thought, oh, this is a nice simple, oh, I'm trying to do something simple because it's vacation and everything, family's around, everything's all that, and the captain's been busy, so anyhow. Oh, and almost forgot my mug. Right, so, don't want that. We'll put that down there. All right. And so, yes, we are going to be trying to make this. And so here we are over in, there's a problem here. I forgot I had my guest on, my guest cam. 1 second. There we go. That's going to restrict what I can do. Oh, that's right. So today I was supposed to have a guest, and unfortunately my guest got sick. And it was all special guests, big secret, not going to reveal who it was. Anyhow, he got sick, and so he couldn't come, and and so I was like, all right, no problem. Anyhow, back to this. So we saw what we were going to do. We're going to be making a glitch effect with a Natron. I don't have this all set up the best because I've also had another job going on in the background, and it's interrupted things. In fact, the video on Facebook today is a little from, which will be last week when the Facebook video people see this, is going to be late because I'm a slacker. I admit it, I'm a slacker. Anyway, all right, we're here in Natron. So what's the first thing we're going to do? First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a constant. And the reason we're creating a constant is because we want a background that is not going to move, and we want it to set the project size for the project. The next thing we're going to need, we're going to put a dot node in, because the dot node, we're going to be breaking off this constant to drive some of the other inputs, because we're going to be using a Card 3D node. And as everybody knows from the past, or people who don't know from the past, the problem with Card 3D is if you leave Card 3D, if you just take the result and try to output it, if the Card 3D has nothing on it, Natron will skip the frames where Card 3D does not have anything on it, because Card 3D doesn't render, thus Natron thinks it's an empty frame, and you get an error where you get glitchy playback, which would fit into today's theme, but not in the same way that we really want it to fit in. Anyway, so next up we're going to need a text node. So let's put on our first text, and we're going to be doing something I don't think we've actually done in the past, which is we're going to be animating our text node in the way you're supposed to. And I don't think I've done this properly in the past, and it hadn't occurred to me in the past, but we'll talk about this in a minute. It will become apparent, and some people are going to go, poor Bill, why haven't you done it that way in the past? And the reason is because it hadn't dawned on me until all of a sudden it hit me one day. Hey, I wonder if you can. And sure enough, you can do what we're going to do. So I've got to make sure my reference file is where I need it to be for this. And the first text we're going to be doing, oh yes, we're going to first of all make this center interact. And we're going to keep it, we're going to hit caps lock on our keyboard. Good, it's going to show that they show on the screen. We're going to type in... They said, oops, excuse me, that should be all caps. They said, All right. And that's going to be the first text, and that's how we're going to be opening this up, because this is like a doom and gloom. This has been 2020. What a crazy year. People thought pirates were bad, eh? What about this year? This year, well, you know, it could be worse. It could be, we could be showing up on your doorstep. That would make it worse. Not for me, but anyway, I've had very limited plundering due to plague. Plague! Oi! Anyway, them plagues, they always stink every time they come around. Anyway, so the next thing we need is a card 3D. So we type in card, and we should probably turn off that caps lock for the moment while we're searching. And the card 3D at the beginning, let's pull up the info for this. We're gonna reduce this. That card 3D is behind me. So we're gonna start this off at, I believe, negative. Am I at the beginning? That's weird. Huh. Well, me project over here, it's looking like I don't have a keyframe on the first frame for card 3D, which is odd. Oh no, there it is. Don't ask me why, it just wasn't showing it up. Card 3D choosing to do its own thing. Alright, so what we're going to be doing is setting the, I thought we set this to -5, so that's going to set it far back. We're going to set a key, all dimensions for this. This is going to be, because it's going to be coming at us, and as it comes at us, the text is going to change over time. So we're going to, might as well finish that up. We're actually going to have it go right past the screen, or right past what's visible, because we're going to have 2 lines. And we're going to push this forward. And -1 is the normal size, and -0, or -0. Actually, there technically is a -0, but it's the same thing as +0. 0 is 0. Anyway, we're doing 0 at frame 250. And the reason is that as we go back, we want it to cut when it comes by. We can see that the font is really, really big. That's not a problem. This is going to go by. It's going to be glitching. It's going to be doing things. We're not going to worry too much about it. Let's go back. Let's see. The text size. I didn't set the text size. I suppose I should have done that. Let me make sure. According to my pre-made project that I've set up, we want the font size to be, if I can find my, oh, I don't have the font up. There we go. Font size, make sure that's visible. Instead of 64, which is the default, we want to set it to 134. Make it a little bit bigger. And that's going to change. All right, so how are we going to be changing this? First, let's animate the entire text coming and what it's going to do. So how are we going to animate it? In the past, what I've had us do is we've created an expression to do the text change, and I've used a separate node. But we're going to do something that's just stupidly obvious, which is we're going to right-click in the text node and we're going to set a key. What? You can do that? Yes, you can do that. If you it's just right click, it turns the text area blue, which means when we change it, it does make it a bit harder to change it back. That's the only downside. And if you ever delete keyframes, forget everything you had after it, it will default to whatever is currently displaying in the text node, and that's it. But anyway, this is a good way of dealing with doing animated text over time, or at least changing text over time. It changes quickly. You could manually, you know, every frame, literally type in every new letter every frame, and it would update. And that's a quick way of doing a typewriter effect, or another way of doing a typewriter effect that doesn't involve programming. Oh, it seems so obvious. It's like you might want to smack your head and go, oh, I could have had a V8. Oi, anyway, so we're going to be going, let's see, we're going to be going to frame, oh yes, we need to set our frames to 24 frames per second, or 24 frame skips, so we're going to hit twice to go up to frame 49, I believe. I want to make sure, yes, frame 49, and here we're going to change the text to, whoops, not tab, caps lock. It was over. All right, and that's going to be our second thing. As soon as we click off of it, it goes and it puts it was over in there. And let's see, our third text is going to be on frame 121, which should be a multiple. third one 3 seconds out. We're gonna and the reason for this is I found that when the text came in, the first text, when it was far away, it doesn't feel like it's moving very much, and it's glitchy, but I found it was readable after the effect was done. So, but as the text got closer and it was moving faster, I found it took a little bit longer for people to register what was on the screen. So I gave it a little bit more time. So anyway, we want to, on this frame, we want to type in they were. And then on the, actually, we can type it in one. No, we're going to do it on the next front line down. Wrong. And now we're going to see the first problem and put, oh yes, we want an exclamation point. So this is a problem. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Paul Rebuild, that doesn't look right. The text is all, it's justified over to the left. If we go over here and tell the word wrap that we want it to be word, and then we tell it that we want the horizontal alignment to be centered and the vertical alignment to be centered, what we can do is turn off this center interact, and lo and behold, it ought to, oh yes, and we want to turn off transform. You want to turn off those two and just leave that. Don't hit justify. If you hit justify, the problem, well, you can hit justify in this case. If you this will also work if you do it like in one, well, all right, it's making a fibber. Oh, right, we haven't bolded this. Right, we also need to change the weight to ultra heavy. There we go. Nice and thick, heavy font, so it's readable. That'll make it also more readable in the past, because we haven't keyed it. But you can see we can keep it one line. The problem is if you click justify, we can see that they emerge suddenly jump off to the sides beforehand because of justification. So don't use justify. But if you do use justify, you can always just push it back and hit return, and that should work, and that should fix the problem, as we can see. Anyhow, we're not going to worry this. I found for this particular effect, I wanted to keep the space big because we want this to go past the camera and part of the text to go above us and part of the text to go below us. So having a gap works, and it also makes it feel, makes that bold text. It doesn't work with lighter fonts and so forth, or things that you want to keep together, but it does give sort of an airiness and a foreboding kind of feeling to the overall thing. Anyhow, or at least that's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. So the next one I've fiddled around with. We're going to, I don't think it's going to be a perfect one. We're going to go up to, oh no, it was perfect. All right, that's fine. We're going to stick with it. 193, you'll notice we're going 1, 2, 3. Again, so just to be on the sure that people are understanding, 1, 2, we're doing 2 seconds for the first one, 3 seconds for the second one, 3 seconds for the third one, and then 3 seconds, or well, 2 and a bit for the last one, and that's the reason that we're doing it like that. Anyway, here on this frame, we're gonna put. Oh wait a minute, no, this is the last one. No, what? Yes. Oh, 2020. Return the glitch. This was supposed to be an easy one, and here I am making things complicated for no good reason. Alright, so now the problem is, of course, I mentioned that if for whatever reason Card 3D is not actually displaying something, Natron won't render. And that's mainly if it's rotated away from us, if it's like, if we rotated the Card 3D in a way that, the Z-axis was, or actually it would be more like the Y-axis. If we rotated this, I'm just going to show this so people understand. If we rotate this to like 90 degrees, you can see that Card 3D is not there. And if we go back to the beginning and hit play, notice Natron's not playing. Nothing I can do will make Natron play. That is the problem. This is what Card 3D does. If it doesn't display anything, if Natron doesn't see anything, it won't play properly. And so how do we fix that? How do we get it to work? Well, we have to use a merge node. So we take the merge node and we're going to connect it up to our constant over here. Whoops. our constant over here. We're going to hold down Control and click the dot in the middle of the B, bring it out, and then take the A from the card 3D, put it into the A input over here, and now there's always a background going into this particular thing. So this basically bypasses it, and now if we go back and hit play, now Natron will play and it will work fine. All right, even though the card 3D is still facing in the same direction. So that's the reason, that's why we have that breakaway and so forth. It's very important for this part. Anyway, let's reset this to default because it really doesn't matter for this. Let's take a look at what we've got. So whoops, back it up, hit play, and make sure this should, there we go. Shouldn't take very long to render this out. We can say, watch this play out. They were wrong. Should have changed. I didn't see it. 2020, the glitch. All right. I want to make sure this is working correctly, and we have it. They said it was over. They were wrong. 2020, the glitch. All right. And the reason we want it on 2 lines is so that, of course, when it gets to that last frame, it goes right over and disappears into nothingness. All right, so now we need to do the actual glitch effect. Now, this is an easy one. Again, this is going to be a short episode today because of this, because it's relatively easy. We're going to be using 2 types of Shadertoy nodes. All right, there's actually glitch effects built into Natron by default. We're going to use both of them. Well, there's actually more than 2, but we're going to use 2. The first one we're going to use is an actual Shadertoy node. So, and this is what the person was trying to use. So we're going to type in Shadertoy, which, for people who don't know, Shadertoy does come with effects that are built into it. This particular thing is the default Shadertoy texture. So Shadertoy, if it's not contained, is very confusing, especially when you open up the image shader area where it shows the actual shader. And one of the big problems that we face in here is that the load is that there's so much information. There's a lot of things. There's multiple inputs. There's all this stuff because it's designed to be it's designed to be a node that you build something in and then put into, or the way most people deal with it is they build something in it and then they put it into a group and create a custom node out of it. And that's going to be the second type of node glitch node we're going to do. But the one that the thing we can do here is we have this thing called load from preset. And if we click on the load from preset, we can see a list of built-in effects that are already in here. And if we go to the effect one, I believe it was in here, there's glitch 1 and glitch 2. And I think this was glitch 2. And so there we go. Yes, this is glitch 2. So what does this glitch effect do? Let's hit play and watch it. So if we watch it, it's not overly exciting. It's just, it goes back and forth, and it does this continuously, and it's glitching, but it's not glitching in any super way. And the problem is how do we control this? How do we get this to animate? And there's so many parameters here, it can be very overwhelming to a new person. Well, one of the first things that you should always do whenever you load in a new effect is click on this auto parameters button. When we click on this, that will automatically, if Natron hasn't already made sliders for the controls inside of the Shadertoy node, that will create the sliders for it. And I can't tell you all the stuff off the top of my head that make all the sliders appear and whatnot. Shadertoy is one of those gray areas I haven't invested as much time into as probably I should, but what that will do is it will make it so that you can basically close this shader area. Most of this stuff is about controlling the input channels. You'll notice that when we click the auto parameters, that all the extra dangly bits for connecting up the node to other nodes have more or less disappeared. And that's because they have been disabled here. You'll notice that I channel 1 is still enabled, but the other channels are not. And it's been, the I channel has been given a name, a label, source. That's what this is. This is one of the nice things. Shadertoy is a really well-designed node. It would be nice if at some point somebody who works on nodes and so forth, building the custom nodes in the programming area, were to go back and add some of the aspects of Shadertoy to SEEXPR, because it could really benefit with from a lot of the stuff that we find inside of this node, because this is a really, really, really well-made node in a lot of ways. Other than the one way it's not, which is it's not the most stable of nodes unless you keep it to single pipe, which is what we're doing. So this is a single pipe node. So we can twirl this down. We go to image shader, we twirl it down, and we can see it has an enabled GPU render, and it's things. We're not going to mess with that. But here you'll notice up at the top it has this thing, this control called intensity. And if we take the intensity, we can see what it looks like on this frame. We're on frame currently 215, in case you didn't know. Oh, it says it there. Good. And this intensity slider, if we take it down to 0, we can see that there is no effect. And if we take it all the way up to 1, it's got a huge effect. And I don't know if we can push it even further. Sometimes you can push an effect beyond 1, sometimes you can't. This one stops at 1. So that's the furthest we can go with it. So we're going to reset it to its default. And what we're going to do is go back to the beginning of this. And on the beginning frame, we're going to go to, wait a minute, there we go. I want to get it, and I set it, first frame, I set the value to 0.5. So it gives it a nice big glitch. We see the glitch is very, very clearly can see the glitch from a far away distance away. And we're going to right click on this, and on the intensity control, and hit set key, and that enables us to set a key on that parameter. And that was one of the things the person was missing. And so now this is animatable. Whenever we enter a new value in here at a new time, that will update and give us a new thing. So I went ahead to frame. Now I did these at random points, but because we want this to get to the same point, we're going to skip ahead to, I think I did it. Yeah, I didn't do it quite there. I went to frame 36. So we'll go to frame 36. At frame 36, what I sent in for a frame. Actually, you know what? I did it. This is going to be a random one. We're just going to put it at, this isn't actually, I randomly clicked. We're going to put 3.365 in there. That should be close enough to what I had. All right. So I've lowered the value from what it was to 3.65. And what I'm doing is I'm lowering the amount. I still want a decent amount, but I want it to be slowly drifting. But I want this key here because I'm going to temporarily dip it down to nothing so that the effect disappears temporarily, and then bring it back. And so I need a key here before I bring it down. And so I think I brought it 5 frames. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9? I think I brought it 9 frames. Let me just double check. Yes, 9 frames. So we're going to bring it up to 45. So frame 45. Make sure I'm on frame 45. And on frame 45, we're going to drop this down to 0 for our effect so that it's gone. All right. And that will, what that will do is, so nope. Don't want to do that. Don't zoom in on Shadertoy effects, because sometimes they render from the bottom left corner of whatever. And if you do that, if you don't do that, it can cause issues. Oh yes. And one other thing we want to do is over here on this, I just want to double click on this merge node for a second and change our bounding box here from intersect, or from union down to B. We want to get rid of the, when if we go back to union, I just want to point out when Shadertoy gets out here, or I should say when the card 3D node gets bigger than the render box, it's not actually doing it. Interesting. I always thought card 3D, well, it's a good habit to get into anyway. It's not changing. Oh, no, it is. There we go. There's the card 3D. This is the size of the card 3D. This is all wasted render data that's taking up memory. So why don't we just remove that by taking it and putting it to B? That's for people who haven't seen me do that before. All right. So anyway, back to frame. Let's go back to our glitch effect. There we go. Back to frame 45, which you'll notice that our frame here did not update even though we are at frame 45. So at frame 45, we turned it off. On the next frame, which will be 53, frame 53. So we'll just go out, I don't know, it's 8 frames, I believe. Whoops, 53. Don't skip around. There we go. 53. We're going to set it to a value. So what we're slowly doing is as it gets closer to what we're going to call the cured, the goal is to bring it from 0.5 to 0 by frame 100. I suppose I should have put that here. At frame 100, what we're going to do is set the intensity to 0. And from frame 0 to frame 150, I believe at 150, I'm also going to, let me make sure of this. I'm just going to get up there and double check. I think at frame 150, yes. Frame 150, I also want to set it to 0. So we have this space of dead where it looks clean. This is where it says it was over. It looks like it's cleaning itself up as this goes. And then we say they were wrong, and then it starts glitching out again. So that's the whole idea. Is it looks like it's solving itself. It's going away, but then it doesn't go away. It comes back, and it comes back strong. All right. So this is our dead zone. So what that means is, of course, if we keep it at 0 from 50 or from 45 all the way up to 0 or 100, excuse me, we don't get any glitches, and it looks like it's cured itself way back here as opposed to up at frame 100. So of course at 53, which is where I want it to not be, to still have some signs that it's still glitchy, we're going to put it to point, I think it was 1 something. Let me go back. 174. It's an arbitrary. You can put it to whatever you want. This just happens to be what I did on this. So we can see it's back a little bit. And then on frame, I just pick some random frames. On frame 70, we'll just go here. Just type in 70. Make sure your cursor, by the way, is over the text box when you type in a number. If you move your mouse off of it, it won't enter the digits. So keep your text. Natron's one of my least favorite things. Anyway, we want to go to frame 70. Right, 70. Hit return. And we're going to change this to 0.125. Wait a minute. What the? Oh, no. 0.125. Not 125. There we go. 125 will be 1. So there it's back up to almost full strength. Then we're going to go ahead to frame. Whoops. Wait a minute. Oh, apparently I did. Oh, frame 74, 4 frames later. For some reason, that might have been a glitch frame. I'm just checking. Well, on this frame, I set it to 111. Oh, 0.111. That's fine. And then on frame 100, I think. Oh, no. No. That's right. We go up to the next one, which is going to be frame 81. So we'll go up to frame 81. I'm going to cure it again temporarily. Frame 81, we're going to 0 it. Again, looks like it's curing slowly over time. And then we're going to go up to frame 89. So 9 frames. These are random intervals, and we're going to set it back up to, or we're going to set it to 0.094. It's a good number. And then I think we obviously going to have one more before we get to 100 at frame 96. So we're going to go to frame 96. And at frame 96, we're going to set the value to 0.1 because it's not really cured 0.1. It went up a little bit, got a little worse, and then of course at 100 it's gone. So let's scrub through that a little bit just to see what it sort of looks like as we can go. As we scrub through this, I'm going to just scrub. That's going to be. I have a. If when you scrub this, your Natron is not doing this. If you right click on Natron and turn on toggle auto turbo, what auto turbo does is it automatically drops your resolution so that as you drag through the timeline, so it can cache very rapidly. It's basically dropping the resolution. It's going to work for us if we just do this quickly. It will give us a nice quick playback so we can see and until we update. So now if we hit play, we can kind of see what's going on, and hopefully it will play back in a fairly real time and see it cleared up for a second, then it cleared up, and then it came back. And so you can see there's those two little spots where it sort of clears up, and so then it's going to come back, but it's going to come back stronger, so it's obviously going to go crazy after 150. So let's get up to 150 in my test project. So the first frame after 150, we go to frame 162. So I'm going to go to frame, you know what, we'll just enter it, 162, and at frame 162 we're going to boot it all the way back up to 0.2, which is a huge amount. And then we're going to, let's see, go forward to the next one, which is going to be 174. So we'll just go up to 174. Remember, we just came up from 0, so it has to hold it or get more intense. So, but it's not. It's actually going to die down. It still looks like it might have just been a quick little surge, but it's not. So we're going to put it to 0.05 here. So it comes right back down. It's still there. It's not gone. And then we're going to go to frame 185. So frame 185. And here we're going to go back up. It never goes away at this point. I don't want to. 0.05 looks like it might go away, but it's not going to go away. It's going to come back. It's going to go all the way up to 0.2 again. It's all the way back up to pretty bad. Then at frame 202, we're going to make it go all the way back up to where it started. And that's we're back up to 0.5, but now it's really close to the screen, so it's much bigger, much more noticeable. And then I think I'll do, oh no, we keep it at 0.5 all the way to the end. We could make it worse, we could, doesn't have to be there, but that's what I did in the original one, so that's what we're going to stick with. We can see. All right, so this is half of the glitch effect. This is using this one glitch effect that is a Shadertoy glitch effect animating this one parameter, and we can see, you know, it's pretty good. And there we go. So there we go. We can see it going, and it's good, but it's not doing everything that we want. We want this to really look like this is some chaotic, you know, glitch effect. So let's talk about the other type of Shadertoy nodes that get used in Natron, which are, of course, customized ones where people have actually created more types of glitch patterns and so forth, or more of whatever. And all it is basically it's a group that was saved as a plugin using Shadertoy in it. You can save any set of Natron nodes, as we've talked about in the past, as a group, but for those who haven't seen the past episodes, that can happen. So if we right click in our view, go to our community plugins and go under GLSL. If we look under effects here, there is, I believe this is where the glitch was. I thought this was where it was. It may, I'm not actually seeing the glitch. You know what? It's going to probably be faster if we hit the tab key right about here and type in glitch. And when we do that, we can see it's called digital glitch. I was looking under G. It's digital glitch. So we go digital glitch, which brings up this. Now this is a plugin, basically a user created plugin. That's a series of Natron nodes, most likely all Shadertoy driven. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually, for the moment, we need to bring up, change our properties to 2, because I want to keep our original glitch animation up here. I'm going to minimize it, however, so only the intensity control shows, because I only want the things that I've actually animated to show up or changed, and the only things that have changed is stuff inside the image shader, which is twirled down right now. See, we twirl it down, and the intensity control, so that minimizes it. And then we want to make sure the Croc digital glitch is on the top, so that will keep our keyframes up in our timeline, so we can see the keyframes. And so we're going to go all the way back to the first frame, and now I'm going to go to, let me pull this up and go back to the start here. So on frame 1, so we should talk about this. The digital glitch, this digital glitch has a whole lot of things that we're going to be messing with. It has this drunk version of glitching. It has this black and white noise glitching. It has horizontal slice glitching, and then it has global glitching. And currently all that's on are the horizontal slicing. And what we're going to do with this one, for the most part, is we're going to be animating the drunk. So we're going to set a key here on the drunk version. We're going to set a key on the black and white. And we're going to set a key on the horizontal slices for their enabled options. And basically what we're going to do is at each interval, we're going to change which ones of these are enabled. We're not gonna change anything. We're gonna keep this simple. The only other thing we're gonna do is we're going to change the blend. And so we're gonna keep the blend, and the reason is that changing these down, disabling all of them, does not get rid of glitching. There's still glitching done by this. And so to get rid of glitching altogether with this particular node, we have to set a key on the blend node and set that from 1, which is showing the blend. Basically, it's the equivalent of mix, to 0, which is going to turn it off. All right, so which ones do we want on at first? Well, at first, this is supposed to be going crazy, so we want everything on at first. And when we do that, we should, at least I thought, well, what that's going to do is it's going to, drunk basically makes it so that it goes all over the place. The glitches go all over the screen. So as we go forward in time, we can see, there we go. That is a drunk glitch right there. We can see, and that's what drunk glitching is. Really glitchy. We've got all this stuff going on. All right, so then we're going to go click the forward keyframe button, which is the button right here. I'm going to click that forward, frame 36, and at frame 36, we're going to disable drunk. We're going to right click on it, or no, we're going to just click on it, left click on it, and we're going to, at 36, we disable drunk, and that gets rid of drunk. Drunk will no longer happen from this point forward. We want to keep everything else the same, so we're going to move forward to frame 45, where everything turns off. Remember, 45, the intensity, you can't really see it, it's behind my face. I'll try and minimize this. Actually, we're going to just keep it minimized so you guys can see it. So our intensity on the Shadertoy glitch is 0 on frame 45. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to basically blend down to 0. We want to make sure that blends down to 0, which means we also need to go back 1 frame, and we need to make sure this is 1 at the previous one. I do believe. Let me make sure. Yes. We want to make sure that our blend was kept to 1 on frame 36 as well. I did not do that in. So we want to make sure that so it's not fading out. All right. So we go to 36 and it's 0. Excuse me, 36 it is 1, 45 it is 0. Then at 53 we want to, let's see, what are we going to do for 53? 53 we're going to also keep the blend at 0, which is odd. Why? Oh, wait a minute, no, hold on, I had it wrong. No, it should be 1. It's like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, those are back. We want to again set a key on these ones. We can just do it by double clicking on those. We're keeping the drunk version off at the moment because as things clear up, we're clearing things up. So it's no longer going to go into the drunk spasm mode. What we wanted to do is tear. Now, tear basically just, let's see if we can, well, we'll start seeing it at some point. That's interesting. We're getting a different result on this. Oh, well, I'm not too worried. Oh, no. Well, it's a little different. Didn't change anything. No. It's exactly the same. Oh, you know what it is? It's this intensity. It's changed it a little bit. Oh, well, I'm not going to worry too much. It's close enough to what my other one is. We're going to move forward to frame 70. We're going to go to frame 70. On frame 70, what ones are we going to enable? You know what? I need to shrink that down for me. We're going to, again, enable these two because you can see, actually, this one up at the top is the tear effect. We can see what the tear glitch is doing. It makes it tear across. And I believe this one, I don't even, let's see what that one is, just so we can see. That's a black and white noise. So black and white noise basically makes it go pixelated every now and then. So it randomly will pixelate. It'll sort of go into these like little dots and so forth. It looks really, it's kind of cool, actually. So at 70, we have that. And then we're going to go to the next one. And here, what we're going to do is make sure we're going to just disable the second one, but we're also going to key the first one. So now it will no longer tear at this point. Because the second, I think the second one's the tear. No, the second one's the dots, right? Oh, I just said it. Yeah, the black and white dot noise. So let's see if we can see some of the black and white dot noise, just so we can find it. It's going to be hard. I don't want to show it until we zoom in to look at this close. But I'm looking for a frame. It just adds a really... I think actually right here, I think that's actually it. I think this tearing right here, where it's doing these like streaks and so forth, that's part of the... Let's find out. Boop. Boop. Oh, no. Guess not. Oh, and that was also on a frame. No, it wasn't. Wait a minute. Yeah, it was. 70. All right. Whatever. We're just going to go with it. Anyway, right. We want to go ahead to frames. We were on 74. We want to go to frame 81. Or, excuse me, frame... Oops. Oh, I did it on 80 in here. That's probably another reason why it's not looking the same. Here we want to disable the blend. Okay, because it's disappeared. And then we're going to go forward in time to 89. Oop. And 89, we're going to put it back up to 1. Now, just because it doesn't tear does not mean it's not actually doing something. It's just going to, it's not going to show up until we get through. All right, frame 96. Let's go to 96. At frame 96, we also want to make sure this is 1. And then at frame 100, right, because we don't have anything more than basic tearing glitch, we're going to set it to 0. So now it should not be glitching at all the way to frame 150, at which point we want to set it to 0 again. Make sure on my other one. And then at frame 162, we should get, this should go back to 1. Because we want the glitches to start showing up, and we're going to set a key here. We already have the top one is going to be enabled. Let's see, we're going to go forward in time to 174. We're not going to actually mess with anything on frame 174 apparently. And let's see, on frame 185, we're going to enable the second level of this. And then on frame 202, we're going to re-enable the drunk mode. All right. And what I found is because these are switches, they just stay off until you enable them. This is what the black and white dots does. That's what this second one does, is this type of glitch effect. You can see it takes away the color, but you get these random glitchy noise patterns. Fortunately, Natron has not screwed up there. All right, so we've done all this. We want to, just to ensure everything is going to work properly, we want to, one last time, do another merge over node. So we want to add a merge over here. We want to connect the B input up to our constant in the background. We want to take our A, put it into the digital glitch, connect that there. Control drag from the middle of this down like that. And this is our entire sequence. This is everything. Let's take a look at this. Now we can watch this full frame. So I'm going to move my mouse over the viewer, hit the space bar, and we're going to not do it full frame, but we're going to do it at maximize to here. We're going to rewind it and hit play and just watch how this plays out. This won't be exactly the same as what we had before, but because this is OpenGL, completely OpenGL, this is going to render very quickly. Do know this, when this renders out to a file, it will render perfectly fine. So you should be fine. You shouldn't have any issues. All right. So, right. I think we get the gist of it. I didn't want to, make this too long. We can see it glitching out like that, and it will slowly clear up. It's slowly clearing up. It's getting less and less glitchy till we get to 100, and then it's no longer glitchy. And then, you know what? We're going to, nope. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let this go because I want us to see it frame by frame what's going on. We can see down here counting through the frames. Natron's going through the frames very, very quickly, by the way. This whole effect to render out to file took less than 5 minutes, which is, you know, very, very quick. And so that it's a very, very fast effect. Some, as we know, other effects, but that's because it's all OpenGL. Other effects take longer to do. With GL effects, one of the big things that you need to know is the best way to deal with them is to have them in a linear chain. As long as you do them in a linear chain and you don't have your viewer node off, it usually doesn't give you too much lip. It's only when things aren't there or aren't always on the screen that it glitches and does things. And you can see all the pretty effects we're getting. There's the drunk mode kicking in along with some of the others. And there's drunk mode. It just makes it look all that much better. Oh, and the green bits. I think green is also from the newer one. Oh, and there's the last one, which was all glitchy. And so there it is. It's done. And as you can see, it came past us. And now we get to watch it one time all the way through. This is actually done real time. We're good to go. Look at that. Perfect. All right. And all I did in the end was I held the last frame on black when I edited it together with music, and that was how it was done. So that's this entire thing. Very simple, very quick, nice glitch effect. You can do your own. You can actually add your own. You can modify those things. I was just trying to do this for demonstration purposes. Go through this. This talks about a little bit about Shadertoy. It talks about the two types of Shadertoy nodes you're going to run into, which are the actual Shadertoy nodes and having Shadertoy inside of a group. We talked about the fact that Card 3D is, if you don't use Card 3D with a merge node after it, the problem you run into is that the merge node or that the Card 3D won't render. Natron won't actually render. It will render to file fine, interestingly, but it won't render to the viewport, which makes it really hard to evaluate whatever you want. And it actually, I take it back, it doesn't render correctly. It can actually screw up your renders. It can cause non-renderable frames, now that I'm thinking about it. So you always want to do this trick. Well, ask me why. Anyway, so simple effect. There we go. We're good to go. So today's goal, of course, was this. And I'm going to let this go through with all the music 3 times. All right. Thanks for watching and keep on Natroning.